What did Queen Elizabeth pass down to all of the members of the royal family? Queen Elizabeth II ruled Britain and the Commonwealth for an astonishing 7 decades, making history as a queen of unmatched endurance, elegance, and a rock-solid dedication to her people. When she passed away in 2022, at the grand age of 96, it shook the world to its core. But it hit her family the hardest. Her son, King Charles III, summed up everyone's feelings perfectly, saying, "We mourn deeply the passing of a cherished sovereign and a beloved mother." His words echoed far and wide, touching hearts in the nation, the realms, the Commonwealth, and beyond. This kicked off a huge shift for a country that had only known one queen their whole lives. As Charles took over, everyone had questions. What's going to happen with the new king in charge? And what about all of Queen Elizabeth's riches? She had a massive fortune, not just the official royal treasures, but her own personal stash too. Would her kids, Charles, Prince Andrew, Prince Edward, and Princess Anne, split it all fairly? And the grandkids, what about them? Would Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, get a slice of the wealth? Or would they be left out, shivering in the shadows? Turns out, the whole thing is way more complicated than anyone could have guessed. Everything Queen Elizabeth II had went straight to her eldest, Charles. Yet being royal definitely has its perks, like a giant pile of money that's been in the family forever. But, hold up, it's not as simple as it sounds. The Queen had her own money and then there was cash that technically belonged to the crown. Confused? Well, you're not alone. At the end of the day, there's just one guy who gets the keys to the treasure chest, and that's the new king, Charles III. He's loaded now with not just the Duchy of Lancaster at a cool 650 million, but all of Queen Elizabeth's personal stash too. Charles facing money troubles? That's a laugh. Now he's king, those days are even less likely to come. Will he go on a spending spree with his new fortune? We're all waiting to see. Here's a kicker. While most folks in England and elsewhere have to cough up taxes on big inheritances, the royals, they get a pass. Thanks to a deal struck in 1993 between the government and the House of Windsor, they don't have to pay a penny in inheritance tax. Imagine that. Anyone else in Charles's shoes would be handing over a whopping 40% to the tax authorities, but not our royals. Prince Andrew got something way more touching from the Queen, her adored Corgis. It's no secret that he's been a headache for Queen Elizabeth II in her last years, especially after Virginia Giuffre accused him of sexual abuse during her teen years, all mixed up with the infamous Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell mess. Following the scandal and a TV interview that went horribly wrong, he stepped back from royal duties. How all this drama affected his bond with his mom, only the Windsors know. But after the Queen passed away, Andrew got her precious Corgis, Muick and Sandy, taking them into his and his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson's home in Windsor. Despite their split, they've kept things amicable and lived together. Everyone knows Queen Elizabeth adored her dogs. Corgis have been scampering around the royal digs since 1933, a furry tradition that's almost a century old. In a heart-melting scene, Sandy and Mick were spotted awaiting their beloved owner's funeral in 2022. Princess Catherine, beloved by all since tying the knot with Prince William in 2011, rocks Princess Diana's famous sapphire and diamond ring. Diana wanted her jewels to go to her boys for their future brides, so Catherine's been spotted dazzling in Diana's gems over the years. It seems like Elizabeth might have passed down something priceless to the future queen too. The jaw-dropping Nizam of Hyderabad necklace, worth a cool 66.3 million, was a wedding gift to Elizabeth from the Hyderabad ruler in 1947. Crafted by Cartier, this showstopper was only lent out by Elizabeth to one other person, Catherine. She wore it back in 2014, making a splash. Unlike other royal bling that's been shared around, this necklace is special, so rumours are swirling that Catherine might now have this spectacular piece all to herself. Prince William hit the jackpot as King Charles III's eldest son. Forget the usual small change or keepsakes from grandma. William scored big time with the Duchy of Cornwall after Queen Elizabeth II passed away. We're talking about an estate that's a whopping 128,000 acres and worth about 1 billion. This wasn't just any gift. It was previously Charles's and automatically went to William the moment Charles became king. But why is this inheritance such a big deal? The Duchy of Cornwall. Oh, it's a massive deal. Way more than just a bit of land. This place stretches over 20 counties, with a mix of properties, parks, and even the famous oval cricket ground. Talk about lucrative. It raked in about 21 million in 2021. Now William, stepping into the Duke of Cornwall's shoes, has a hefty legacy to live up to. His dad, Charles, wasn't just chilling with the title, he was busy building a whole village named Poundbury and kicking off Duchy Organics, a booming business that's all about natural goodies. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, is caught up in a tricky spot with the royals. When she and Prince Harry waved goodbye to their senior royal roles in 2020, it shook things up. People were buzzing about what Queen Elizabeth II thought of Harry's big move. Just 5 days later, the Queen shared a heartwarming statement. She talked about her love for Harry, Meghan, and little Archie, admitting the tough times they faced in the spotlight and backing their wish for a freer life. She hoped their agreement would kickstart a joyful, peaceful new start for them. But when it comes to royal treasures, Meghan might not want to hold her breath. A close source mentioned the Queen probably wouldn't pass down any significant sparklers to Meghan or Lilibet, given their step back from royal duties. Instead, Princess Catherine is expected to inherit the lion's share of the family jewels. The royal family's stash of properties is like a treasure chest everyone's eyeing. Queen Elizabeth II had her personal digs and those that came with the crown. Now, King Charles gets to hang his hat in all those grand places, Buckingham Palace included. But here's the catch. He doesn't really own them. According to the Crown Estate, these places are more like long-term loans to the sovereign, to be used while they're in charge but passed on when their time is up. Balmoral and Sandringham are different though. Elizabeth owned these gems outright, and they meant the world to her. These spots are steeped in family history and were Elizabeth's choice for her peaceful last days, with Charles and Princess Anne by her side at Balmoral before she passed away in 2020 at 96. Queen Elizabeth II's impressive collection of horses now belongs to her son. The royal family's been all about horse riding for ages, with Princess Anne and her daughter right in the mix. Elizabeth felt the thrill of victory herself when her horse, Estimate, snagged the top prize. Horse racing and breeding, they're not just hobbies, they're royal traditions that have stood the test of time, passed down through generations. Queen Camilla's title traces back to Queen Elizabeth II. The early 90s were a tumultuous time for the House of Windsor when King Charles III and Princess Diana's marriage fell apart. This divorce was a royal first, leaving the family and fans in disbelief. That year was tough on Queen Elizabeth II, with Charles and Prince Andrew both ending their marriages. The world was buzzing with one big question: who was Camilla Parker Bowles, and could Charles actually marry her? History had been strict. Even the Queen's sister, Princess Margaret, couldn't marry her divorced love, Group Captain Peter Townsend. It took a while for everyone to get on board, but Charles finally got the green light to marry Camilla in 2005. The big question was whether Camilla would ever be called Queen. Queen Elizabeth II cleared the air with a heartfelt message during her Platinum Jubilee. She said, "And when, in the fullness of time, my son Charles becomes king, I know you will give him and his wife Camilla the same support you have given me, and it is my sincere wish that when that time comes, Camilla will be known as Queen Consort as she continues her own loyal service." King Charles came into a legacy that's beyond price. Even with access to top-notch healthcare, life's unpredictable for everyone, royals included. King George VI, Queen Elizabeth II's dad, died way too soon at 56 after a major surgery. His short reign meant Elizabeth became queen pretty young. Lucky for her, she got to enjoy a long, healthy life, making it to 96. This meant Charles had a long wait, hanging on to the Prince of Wales title until he was 73. Charles got a lot from his mum, but the biggest deal of all, becoming the king. He might have taken the throne later than most, but trust me, he was groomed for this moment right from the start. But here's a wild twist. If King Edward VII hadn't given up the throne in 1936 to marry his American love, Wallace Simpson, Charles wouldn't even be king. That move shook up the whole royal lineup, putting Elizabeth and then Charles in the spotlight. Thanks to that dramatic turn and Elizabeth's place in history, Charles now carries the heavy title of sovereign.